We are live. Hello, everyone. Hi, coaches. Welcome to today's webinar.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today.
Please say hello to us on the chat and where you're from. Sorry, Yamini.
Do let us know where you are joining us from. I think Cindy was just about to say that when I cut her off, but that's no problem. Do tell us where you're joining us from, and what are you looking forward to in this particular webinar? What made you join this webinar? And I will just take a couple of minutes to announce some of the upcoming programs that we have. Sylvester, if you could just pull up that slide on your screen. Um, so two of the programs that I'm going to be announcing today are unique offerings that Kocharya has. One is the Mega ACTC program, which will prepare you for the ACTC credential, the ICF ACTC credential, the Advanced Certification in Team Coaching. Now, this is a program which is focused on the systemic team coaching perspective. There are going to be 6 trainers for this program, one of which we also have in our panel today, which is Cindy. Apart from Cindy, it'll have Ujjwal, it'll have Pranav Ramanathan, who is also Kocharya CEO. There is going to be Kocharya co-founder Ram Ramanathan, who will also be there, who will also be a trainer in the program. There's going to be Priya Ramesh Sridharan in the program. All these 6 trainers will be leading the program. Now, coming to why this program is special is because it has 6 trainers and they are some of the best in the industry. You're going to get exclusive insights into how systemic team coaching works, what's it like to guide teams, and what it's really like to coach a team, basically. And ACTC or team coaching is going to be, or it already is, the big thing. So we would ask you all to check out this program. I will be pasting the links shortly in the chat box. The other program is the coaching supervision program, which will be led by Ram Ramanathan, who is Kocharya co-founder. Now, this program doesn't happen very often. It's a very rare opportunity. Ram is a very senior trainer in the industry, and you will be basically learning how to coach a coach, guiding a coach, fellow coaches in their journey. Yeah, so these are 2 programs that we have coming up, apart from all our other ICF level programs. That is, I will be pasting the links for all other programs as well, where you can check out all our other programs that we have, and you can check those out. For any questions or for a free consultation with a team member, you can reach out to us at support@kocharya.com, or you can also directly email me at yamini@kocharya.com. All these details and more are coming up in the chat box. With that, I will pass on the baton to Cindy, Smita, and Priya. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to start by framing what these webinars are all about, especially this webinar, which is all about advancing your coach education, mentor coaching, performance evaluations. So it's all for coaches and it explores learning, development, application of coaching. So in this series on the second Wednesday of every month, we'll deep dive into understanding of core competencies, the delivery of core competencies, the application of it. We'll pick up many topics also of interest to coaches, mainly that the clients are raising, and how we can expand and explore more with the clients. We like the one today, working with uncertainties, and I don't know. But coming back to talking a bit about this webinar series, coaches, it's a learning platform. This is a learning space for trainers, mentors, and for you, all coaches. Now, you're most welcome to invite coaches from other spaces or people interested in coaching We learn together. You will also get the opportunity of meeting and interacting with many of Coach Arya trainers and mentors during this series. So for today, it's Priya, Smita, and I, and they'll introduce themselves in a bit. And next week, next month, it'll be Tracy, and you'll get an experience of Trayvon, Ujjwal, Priya Ramesh, Kumal, all of them. It's too many to name. Kocharya faculty is quite large. But in this series, we will explore tools, techniques, frameworks of coaching. We'll do some real life demonstration, some sample of what goes on in classrooms that each one of us do differently. We'll bring theory to life in how we practically apply certain tools, techniques to enhance our clients and our coaching. We'll also do some strategies for developing emotional intelligence. We'll work on our own ethics as coaches, especially with the introduction of AI and technology, and how we can become better in how we're helping clients with that. We'll also do some work around mentoring, how to mentor, giving feedback, and of course, if you are mentoring, then you know how to do some advanced tools and techniques in the way we interact with our clients, or you want to call it mentees. So whether you're a coach educator, a coach in training, a coach interested in training, please join these webinars and hone the space, meaning as we go through the webinars, raise your questions, interact on the chat with us so that you could get the best out of this hour. Okay, that's a bit about framing this webinar series. And coming to today's webinar, it's all about, are we working with our clients around uncertainties? And I don't know. Many times you get clients that are feeling anxious or a bit stressed, and they raise issues with many uncertainties or lack of clarity. And you hear quite often, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Today, we are going to explore this topic. And we're going to do it in using three broad approaches, meaning we start with why? Why are clients saying, I don't know? We'll share from our experiences, you'll share from yours about what shows up when clients say, I don't know. We'll deep dive into clients, or how can we coach them around I don't knows? What can we do? Some tools, techniques, and strategies of what we can do when coaching clients around I don't know and uncertainties. And in the end, we'll take some time to build resources and some resourcefulness of the coach, meaning how to respond and help clients that show up with uncertainties in coaching. I'll stop there and introduce Priya and Smita to you. Please, can you introduce yourselves? Thanks, Priya. Thanks, Smita.
Good. All right. Hi, everyone. Hello to everyone who's on the webinar. So my name is Priya Ramanarayan, and I've been with Kocharya for a very long time. My journey started as an ACC learner coach, and today I am a coach educator, and I'm very, very privileged to be sharing the space with Smita, Cindy, and the entire Kocharya team. And I'm looking forward for a great interaction and some lovely conversations that is going to come into the space of collective learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Cindy, and welcome everyone for this wonderful series of webinars, which we are privileged to kickstart along with Cindy. So I have been with Kocharya for almost now 7 years. a BCC coach and finished my MCC training with Cindy, who never stops to inspire us, all of us, I think. So looking at the next 50 minutes or so, exploring this beautiful topic that we've picked up for today's webinar, which is I don't know and uncertainties. So with that, Cindy, over to you, and welcome everyone again. Thank you.
So let's start right there on the topic, I don't know, or uncertainties. And let's start with that question. Oh, coaches, here's a question for you. When your clients say, I don't know, what are some of the things going on with them that I don't know shows up? What are your thoughts? And as you type into the chat box, we will explore together. Priya, and Smita, why do clients say I don't know? In your vast experience with coaches, clients, and learners, what do you think?
You want to go?
Okay, the word I don't know, when I was a new coach, I used to get a bit, uncomfortable when the client says, I don't know. Like, this is your space, like the client's space, and the client is supposed to know, not the coach, right? The coach is supposed to be operating from the space of not knowing. So here is a client who keeps saying, I don't know. How do I navigate this? And I think it's only about with practice and self-reflection to know that, that can be such a powerful exploration for the coach, the coachee, or the client to be saying that I don't know. So the I don't know is actually an opportunity in disguise for the coach to explore along with the client. It's a masked statement, I would say. There is more to it than just the simple meaning of I don't know. It is that the client would know something definitely. So to answer your question, Cindy, as to why do clients say I don't know, it can be absolutely, it's a genuine statement, right? The coach asked a thought-provoking question for which the client has never thought of. It's a path which is not taken, a road not taken, a thought not ever thought about earlier. So they're still processing the question. So the answer, I don't know, can be very genuine answer to say I don't know. The other option, I mean, the other reason definitely could be when the client is, very, I would say, fearful, or is getting anxious because again it is uncertain. The outcome of what they have been asked is very uncertain. So uncertainty again creates a lot of um, discomfort for the client to be exploring that. So I would say these are possible two options. And Priya, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, thanks, Smita. I think to add to what Smita said, yes, I think when clients get into the space of I don't know and the uncertainties, they become fearful of the space that they are in, that they don't know the answer and they don't know what is the course of action next, right? And then they start moving into this time of uncertainty. And just to quote a great anthropologist, Victor Turner, he says the time of uncertainty is the time between the not yet and the yet to come, right? So it's more about, it's an uncertainty of no longer and yet to come. And there is this new space which needs to be filled up with ideas. It's a time for reflection, and it's a time for even a lot of tremendous patience, because if we start rushing there, we do not get the reflection and the answers. So it's very important that there's a barrier that the client is facing, and then they need to come across the barrier. They say, I can't go forward, then I don't want to let go. They have a compulsive pattern that they don't want to let go, but they start believing that this is who they are. When they say, I don't know, they start believing, I don't know, this is who I am. But as coaches, we know that these clients are complete, whole, resourceful, and they have the answers within themselves. So we need to create that experience for the clients to understand that point of inner knowing. They are disconnected with their self, they're disconnected with their inner knowing. And as coaches, we give them that patience, we give them that space so they can connect to their inner knowing. So one of the reasons, like I was going through Marcia Reynolds' breakthrough coaching, she's written a big chapter about coaching through resistance. And she says resistance comes from two reasons, just like what Smita mentioned. There is hesitation and there is defensiveness. Now, hesitation is coming from they genuinely don't know. They are uncertain or they're probably seeking validation. And the portion of defensiveness is coming from maybe lack of responsibility. They know what they're supposed to do, but they know that there's a new change coming up and they're scared to take ownership for the decision. So most probably, a lot of my clients, when I have coached, they're coming from a space of lack of responsibility because they are scared to do that conversation with their boss, maybe for a raise on a promotion. They start doing excuses, taking excuses, saying that I have a lot going on in my work. I have a deadline coming up, and after that, I'm going on vacation. When I come back from vacation, maybe I'll do this conversation. So it's like they're running away from taking that responsibility and accountability when the answer is just that time that they need to fix to have that conversation. There's a lot going on in the mind of the client. Instead of being honest and vulnerable and transparent, they probably are resorting to, I don't know, it's a resistance. Would you
That's
like to
quite
add anything?
insightful. Yeah, it's quite insightful as to what internally goes on with the clients and the external words that's showing up in coaching. And I mean, we have a wealth of responses on the chat also. So I'm just going to add to it. Also, sometimes there are internal conflicts around their beliefs or values or mindset. I really want to do something, but I'm not sure. I really would like to leave the corporate space and start my own business, but I'm not sure, about finances or many other reasons would show up. So many times there's also this internal conflicts around values, beliefs, mindset, and sometimes it's just external pressures or expectations that others, maybe family or others put around them when the client themselves has a different kind of expectation for themselves, or they see themselves evolving and changing, and they don't know how to position this out to others around them for the fear of their reactions and, being judged. There's also vulnerabilities. Sometimes the response of I don't know is just a vulnerability showing up in client where you can sense from the story they're telling. They've done a lot of thinking around it. A lot of reflection has gone into it. And they'll tell you, for a few weeks now, for months now, I've been thinking about this. And as they tell the narrative, they would also add in the, I don't know, I'm really not sure what to do. And you can get a sense the I don't know, the unsureness is pinned down to a particular space, like maybe decision making, just that final step. But it's the vulnerability of wording it out aloud, of saying it, that sometimes shows up as I don't know. Anything else showing up for you, coaches, from your clients? Smita, Priya, anything more you want to add?
Cindy, on a lighter note, I think when the client says, I don't know, they're actually joining like a, prestigious Einstein club. Einstein said this, that the more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like how through this coaching process, the clients start believing that I don't know is a great sweet spot to be at, because here is now the opportunity for me to learn something more, something new, time for new insights and new awareness.
Absolutely. So with that, Smita, can we dive into that part, talking about what do we do? How do we coach, or how do we react to clients that are bringing in those uncertainties and I don't know?
Mm. Cindy, you already touched upon a beautiful exploration of values, right? Like for coaches, to explore values with the clients, because when the clients, or if even I have a problem and I'm looking for some kind of a solution, how many of the times would I really go and think that, what value of mine can I actually surface it and bring it to my awareness to be dealing this situation, right? But in the coaching conversation, if through the partnering with the coach can find that opportunity to ask a question related to the value, maybe it will help the client to get some movement from that, I don't know. So say for example, and you again spoke of that example of, maybe getting prepared for the next level of a role in the leadership, a promotion, like Priya mentioned. So and the client is saying that, I want to move to the next level, but I don't know what's coming in the way. I don't know what needs to happen for me to move to the next level. So maybe the coach can explore the current to say that, right now in the job that you have, what's really, is important for you, which is maybe if the client says, something is not feeling right. I'm really wanting for this promotion, but something is not feeling right. And when the client coach goes like, okay, in the current role with the job that you have, what makes you really feel that, what is going right for you in the moment? And the client might go like, I really like to mentor people, or I like to, do people have people engagement. But this new role now demands me to be more strategic, and maybe there is reporting and there is to do with numbers and stuff, which is a broader strategic role, and I don't feel ready for it. So here you go, where there is an opportunity immediately for the client coach to go like, okay, so you realize that you love working with people, you want to be part of development of people. So that becomes, maybe you've just touched the chord there with the client to explore their inner knowing, like Priya used this beautiful phrase of inner knowing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Priya, I can see a smile on your face.
Yeah, I could resonate so much to what Smita was sharing, that, that space of I don't know is quite a blessing. It's quite a blessing for the client and as well as the coach. Because if the client says, I know it all, and then there is some missing information or something to emerge. But when client says, I don't know, then it's like a blank canvas, and you can take anywhere, you can start drawing anything on that blank canvas, and everything starts emerging from a very nascent stage. Like they say, if you're going on a road that you actually know, then it's actually the wrong road, because it's actually preventing you from being mindful. It precludes mindfulness, it precludes staying in the moment, it prevents you from being in the moment, and it prevents you from noticing what's emerging and co-creating in that new space, right? So that's the reason that we coaches have to grab when we have these opportunities of I don't know, instead of getting a little aghast and say, oh God, I was waiting for a word and I thought I'm going to add a question based on that particular word. We have to start accepting the space of I don't knows like it's a new normal. And this is the opportunity for co-creation, right? And also coming to the topic of the values that you also mentioned, Cindy, and Smita also added, I think the foremost thing when we come across I don't know from a client is they could be coming from a space of fear as well, right? So as coaches, we need to ask questions to ourselves, which of these is at the moment that I'm facing? It can be an inner obstacle the client is facing. It can be procrastination, self-doubt, maybe emotion, maybe mindset-based obstacle. And then it could be an outer obstacle, which is coming from the system, something that is being contributed for the external world the client is part of, and something is pressurizing them for it. And the third one could be a coach obstacle. It could be our ability as coaches that we are not able to help the client with their uncertainties when they're stuck and when they say, and I don't know. So we start revisiting what are the skill gaps that I think I have as a coach. Because once we figure out the answer to these three, then we can meet the client at a place of their need. rather than we coming up with a expectation that I need to solve this solution for the client. I need to make the coaching conversation a smooth space. It's okay. Let's embrace uncertainty and question ourselves, which of the three reasons am I facing today?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We've heard this so much in coaching. I did with new coaches or even with clients. And I'm sure you did too. When new coaches would go, my client said X, Y, and Z, and I had no clue what to do. As soon as I hear, I don't know, that's it. I, almost want to take the conversation to a completion. Or some would ask that question, that question that client is saying, I don't know, and coach would ask, what if you did know? And client will say, no, I told you already, I don't know. So, that piece of uncertainty, somebody on the chat has already spoken about pauses and silence, and I'll expand on that a bit. It's okay to give a silence, a small moment of silence or a pause, and expand it for the client. It sounds like in today's session, some unknowns are going to show up. I don't know. Again, an opportunity for some unknowns. So as we explore, let's see what unknowns begin to show up for you and how we can work with that. Yeah. And it's the same with uncertainties. Explore with the client what feels uncertain for them. And if they're talking about anxiety and stress coaches, then we can do some work around ways of sitting in the body, some somatic or body type questions, and help them then resolve how does it sit with you, what's showing up for you, as in thoughts, feelings, or that experience for them. And also, just as a tip, one of the biggest things when talking about uncertainties is to check with the client, especially if that uncertainty is quite overwhelming for them. What is certain in you? What is certain in you that helps you with uncertainties or when something lacks clarity? There's a moment of, you don't know what to do. There's a lack of clarity. What is certain in you to help you with that? That could show up as a strength or an ability or a learning that the client may draw on to help them in this moment. Smita, Priya?
Cindy, one of the competency maintains presence. It says, demonstrates confidence with strong client emotions or be comfortable with the unknown. So when the client is in that uncertain, with uncertainty, the client, um, with the David Rock's brain-based model, it's like, there is a threat response and a towards response, right? Like the brain is not able to collaborate and communicate well when you're feeling uncertain. When there is clarity, you approach to a conversation. You're able to think on the question. So it's a moment where if the coach is able to show that confidence that whatever is the situation right now, there may be and will be a way out for you. Right? So the confidence in the coach in that conversation, I think it's very, very important to hold the space during that period of uncertainty, during that period of unknown, that I don't know. And one more element I would like to add here, basis what you said, Cindy, with silence. Immediately when the client says, I don't know, and if the coach doesn't give a pause and immediately bounces with a question, we would have missed an opportunity there because the client just said I don't know, but they're still thinking, right? Maybe somebody actually on the chat has shared about the body language. So it's like I have said I don't know, but I would just keep glaring somewhere, or I'm just in some way I'm showing that I'm still thinking. So my communication has not come to a full stop. It's still on. It's just not, I'm not expressing in words, but it's still on. So in that moment of silence and pause, I give the opportunity to the client to be able to verbalize what they're still processing. And we don't know. I think most of us, I mean, I have experienced that. I'm sure Cindy and Priya, you and others here, coaches, if we just give that moment of pause, sometimes we see the client coming back with an answer.
Absolutely.
And we can go like, oh, wow, what just happened? You just said, I don't know. It looks like you know a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we think that, all of us as coaches understand the importance of silence. But I think with this, I don't know, it's such a must to pause and then ask another question.
And we had saw a lovely example of that in that live coaching Federica and Suzanne did.
Mhm.
Was, Federica kept pausing, and Suzanne thought more and came up with an answer. I mean, you can see a high movements in the way she was thinking through it and coming up with answers for herself. Coaches, if you want to view that again, or if you have not already, it's on our YouTube channel. YouTube channel. It's Masters in Coaching. You can add in the name Federica, and you will see that live coaching. Priya?
You're on
You're on-
mute.
I do this quite often. So I think on uncertainties, I think, Smita mentioned that, the clients have some information. It's just that they need some time to process it. So after that, I don't know, you need to give that pause. But where is that uncertainty coming from is they have the partial information and they're not sure about the accuracy. So they say, and I don't know, because maybe they don't want to give incorrect information, right? The brain is not able to prioritize and comprehend what is it that they really want to do. We'll take an example of CC3 when we ask them, after you allow the brown water to flow, then you have your clarifying questions, connecting questions, and you say, how can we really use this session to the most? How can this session really benefit you to the most in the next 30, 40 minutes? If the client has shared a lot, they have a whole lot of things, ideas in their mind, and they say, I don't know, and they pause, right? And we need to respect that silence because we can always say it's a big question, take your time, but let's hold that urge to really say anything because let the thought kind of continue in the client's mind. So, the silence is very important. It's a way of respecting the client, saying that you and I are a partner together, and I'm here to give that space for you to comprehend and get some clarity. They're trying to go inside. Trying to go inside and think and then formulate what they want and come out. We need to give that space. I think the best metaphor for silence is that it's like a deer in the headlights. It's quite awkward. But if we can stop ourselves from having that urge to ask a question immediately, it's going to do a whole great deal of benefit for the client. So giving that intentional presence, the engaged silence, will allow the client to feel that I'm okay in my discomfort. My I don't know is feeling belonged in that space. The client is respecting my I don't know, so I don't have to feel awkward, right? So it's all about we need to resist instead of resisting the resistance that's coming from the client and the awkwardness from the client. If we can give these spaces of pause and spaces of silence, then the client will also relax and they'll start slowly shifting from that space of I don't know to okay, here is an idea, or I don't know what I need to be exploring now. So that silence is extremely powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um,
Just
based on, yeah, sorry.
yeah, go ahead, Sweeta, go ahead.
Yeah, so based on what Priya said now, I think what really comes up for me is in that space of silence, what shifts is from I don't know to I'm exploring, right? And that's like the client is reframing things for their own selves just by us coaches allowing that moment of silence?
Yeah. And so safety and trust plays quite a large role in this, because the more they begin to trust the coaching space and themselves, the more answers or the more they verbalize their innermost thoughts on what next.
Mm.
So evoking awareness, I mean, some of the coaches are talking about they're navigating their future and on the chat. And of course, that's true, because coaching around uncertainties and I don't know are the opportunities that we've said before for more. There are opportunities for more. You just got to do it in a gentle way where the answers come out of the client and not necessarily the coach driving the piece of coaching. So like with evoking awareness, it may go slow and the client may take time to process. But once I think that moment of insight shows up, you'll see a whole new energy shift in the client about what becomes possible for them. And then, of course, progress, growth, learning becomes quite obvious. Coaches, what do you think around? I can see one or two resources on the chat. Priya mentioned Marcia Reynolds, and as some of you are putting up other resources, please go ahead and share with us. What resources do you find most useful besides just authentic coaching? Tools and resources that you use when working with clients around uncertainties and I don't knows. We'd love to do some collective resource collection so we can all learn together.
Cindy, I'd like to add something with respect to
Yeah. While they do that, we'll continue.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned the point psychological safety, providing that space of trust and complete safe space. I always wondered, and especially in our Master Coach MCC training with you, I always wondered, how is it that the MCCs have such a lovely presence, and even the questions that flow when you've done a lot of demonstrations for us, and I've had the opportunity to be a client, with you as a coach. I always wondered, how does Cindy really navigate through questions with so much of ease? And with the Master Coach training, I figured out that it's important to give and completely be a part of providing that psychological safe space for the client, right? And how do we do that is I've done a lot of reading as to how is it that master coaches come across so masterful. I think one of the tools I came across was called softening the edge. So when you're asking a question, you just soften it a little bit and you take your time, provide your silence, and then you soften, because if you don't soften the edge, then the client can actually close. They can have folded arms. They might answer in resistance. They might say, and I don't know, or they might give an answer, but the answer is very surface level. It's not real. It's not deep. But if you actually soften the edge of the question, it's not like you're changing your personality, but you're just asking the question in a certain soft way. Questions like, suppose, what if, could you, instead of what will you, what could you, what might you, in a very soft tone, actually gives that space for the client to feel comfortable that, yeah, the coach is here to listen to me, and you feel one among each other. It's like you are in the journey together with a very hard-edged way of questioning, because we are somewhere very anxious to ask a question and we want it to be a powerful question. There's a lot of self-talk happening in a coach, right? If you can just drop that and soften the entire process for the client, they get all the more comfortable to open up, and they go into the space of deep reflection and introspection and trying to get some new insights and new ideas. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Smita spoke about that when she spoke about the away reaction and the towards reaction. When the client feels safer, it's a towards reaction. and they want to deeper dive. And the piece that you're talking about, the soft space, Priya, we can use the word invite. The word invite creates a very softer space for coaches to help the exploration. And so in this word, or with this word invite, um, the coach can invite the client, I'm going to use it again. Coach can invite the client to explore through how the client is viewing their or observing their current situation. So whatever they're facing, how is this client observing it? What lenses are they using? And you can see by the way I've said it, I even took my own time about that nothing is too direct or too, well put together. Around this uncertainty and I don't knows, you may find yourself framing questions or customizing questions in that moment that doesn't look all, beautifully put together. It's okay. Stay in that space of inviting. Uncertainty is also going to show up in the questions. And that doesn't matter because client will take that as I can drop my vulnerability because this coaching space is allowing for the uncertainty to show up with some certainties, especially if the uncertainty is deep inside them as a vulnerability.
Psychological safety, one of my really favorite topics. When the client says, I don't know, I think, they have a lot of trust in the process. And that's why they are just saying, I don't know, right? And most of the time, I would like to be seen as someone who knows stuff. If I am placing my I don't know in front of you, Cindy, like you said, I'm being vulnerable. However, I'm really trusting the space that I am in with you in this partnership. So it brings a lot of responsibility on us as coaches to be handling that I don't know with a lot of care and nurture because we know that it has got the power to unpack things for the client. Uncertainty is like the amygdala hijack. We know that when that happens, fight, flight, or freeze are these three things that can happen when there is amygdala hijack. Uncertainty is somewhat like that. It does to you where you are, you fall back on your old patterns. You don't feel like moving from your old patterns to the new road and new patterns, right? So I feel like I'm frozen. Yeah. Or the flight, I'm really like wanting to run away from this. And therefore, the simple answer that I choose is I don't know. Knowing this, it is so much of responsibility of the coach to handle that moment with a lot of nurture and care.
Remember, Smita, you're talking about psychological safety. In one of the MCC coaching conversations, the coach asked that client, I would always remember this. There was some beautiful coaching going on, and the coach said, if you took a pause and really listened to your internal thoughts, what are they whispering to you? And it gave the client the opportunity to share the innermost thoughts as they were beginning to emerge. I have been thinking about this. I'm not sure whether it's going to be the right thing to do, but I'll just tell you and let's see where it goes. Yeah.
Mm.
The softness of the question allowed for the depth to come out.
Profound, Cindy. Really profound. And I like the use of metaphors and also seeing
Yeah.
it at people are talking about metaphors, analogies, and guided visualization. I in fact remembered one of my fellow coach he was a peer coach who's in the health sector. She does a lot of coaching for the hospital staff, the nurses and the attenders, and caregivers and rehab centers. So she said she learned this visualization from one of the videos on YouTube, and she's also a life coach, she's a PCC as well. She said she used these metaphors of teacups, like there was a client who came to her with headaches, and how are you feeling? She said, I had this headache and it never seems to go. I've done a lot of medications and I've done naturopathy, I've gone to Ayurveda and all of that alternate healing therapies. And she said, I learned this on a YouTube video, but I just tried this on my client and it worked wonders. So I just like to share that, it's about 3 teacups. And you take these 3 cups and then you say, so 1 teacup is mental and 1 is physical and 1 is spiritual, right? And beneath one of these teacups is the answer to your headache. Kinds. And I'm going to pick one, and which do you think is the teacup? And she picks one, and immediately her client said, I think it's mental, something to do with internal mental state. So it's so brilliant that, there's so much going on in the client, but that's a starting point. Like we spoke about the inner knowing, it's a starting point of that inner knowing. At least you get the point of exploration and you can start proceeding with your conversation to go a little more deeper and understand what emerges, right? So I thought that was really brilliant. And then you can introduce metaphors. For a very long time, we thought we cannot introduce metaphors as coaches. But I think in a very soft way, in a very subtle way, you actually lead the client, not like leading to the solution, but it's just about gradually introducing a change to influence the client's mindset, maybe the client's behavior, right? So in NLP, we call this the downtime and the uptime, where you mirror the I don't know yet. You summarize what the client is saying, and then you do pacing, which is nothing but mirroring, and you say, okay, you said you don't know yet. Try to add a yet. And then you say, it's all right. I invite you to go into the space, take some time. And then when you discover something, maybe you can share that with me, right? And that is probably a little bit of leading to only make a gradual change in the person's mindset. What they have created might not be 100% perfect. It is just temporary. It's only tentative. But at least you got a starting point. And the value of coaching is you got the answer from the client, right? So I thought that's very brilliant use of visualization and metaphors and a little bit of NLP techniques here and there. Yeah.
Yeah. I recently heard another good one where we were having a discussion and this metaphor came up of a crossroads, because a lot of clients feel uncertain about making life-changing decisions. And when they come to coaching and they raise that, it feels like they're at a crossroad and they don't know which direction to take. So it's beautiful to kind of also do some gentle coaching around what if you went on that side, or what if you went on that side, and let them, within the safe space of coaching and the thought-provoking process that coaching offers, begin to explore more on being in this crossroad and which direction they want to go to. May never happen in one session, may or may not, but at least it can continue the start of the lack of uncertainty or certainty will begin to emerge for them. And there was also one also that stands out for me recently is when the client kept saying, the client kept replaying the past and said, these past mistakes I make, it's just holding me back. And no matter what kind of coaching was going on, the client kept going to, well, I did this and it didn't work. And I did that in the past and it didn't work. And the coach gently prodded. What would happen if you forgave yourself for the past mistakes? What would become possible, if you let go of that grip you're holding onto your past mistakes? I may not be saying it as well as the coach did in that coaching, but the essence of it is the same, you know. How can you let go or forgive yourself for those past mistakes, and then what becomes possible?
Mm. Wow, beautiful. It's again, you know, Cindy, based on this example, it really comes up that how coaches can hold that space for the clients to reframe. And then with your example, it's like, you know, where focus goes, energy flows is a very famous neuroscience saying. So for the clients to then say that, you know, how do I focus on what is going to work, what could be possible, rather than putting our energies on, you know, what didn't work in the past.
I'm mindful of time, but Ram is raising a lovely question. What about the coach? What can we do when the coach in the session feels like, I don't know what to do next?
Yeah. I think one of the MCC coaches said, right, like, when in doubt, ask the client, how do you want to go ahead from here?
Absolutely. Coaches, you never have to feel like you don't know, because you're always partnering with the client. Your moment of I don't know is your pause or silence, and reflect it back to the client in different ways. There are many ways you could do this. One of it is, you know, we have done X, Y, and Z, and you can say some things that was already done in the session. And I'd love to check with you. Where would you like to go next? What would you like us to explore next? Or use the progress question. You know, we are 40 minutes into the session. May I invite you to share what progress you have made so far? So you don't have to feel like you don't know, right? Your client is your partner. Partner with them on the next. Remove your I don't know and make it become a part of the coaching.
Yeah. On the topic of partnership, this was the point that was coming to my mind, that we're partners in this entire divine process, like I would like to call it, right? And there's a lot of pressure we take as coaches that we need to know it all. I think when we talk about psychological safety and all these tools and techniques that we are going to apply on our client, I think we need to be applying all of that on ourselves as well, right? And it's also that moment of vulnerability, you know, if the coach is feeling vulnerable in that situation of, oh, I don't know what I need to ask next, it's okay. Like you said, take that moment of pause and silence and try to kind of come into your presence and then try to formulate what is it that the client has shared and what am I really curious about? The non-judgmental curiosity is going to come here. What am I really curious about in this story? And try to think like a friend rather than thinking like a coach, and taking that burden that, you know, I need to come across as prim and proper. So it's okay when we are vulnerable, but just ask about the progress and just ask them, what is that question that you would want to hear next? Or what is the direction of exploration that you would want to go when you get into a state of I don't know? Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to raise this because I know I'm mindful of time again. And coaches, please, this question is also for you. What are some of your tips? Coaches, you means participants. What are some of the tips as we round up you would leave all our participants with? At least 2 tips. Please share. Smita?
So I would say, instead of, you know, avoid the I don't know, embrace the I don't know statements from the clients, and also practicing or reflecting on what can really change for the process and for the client in that moment of silence. So how do I, you know, learn to embrace and be comfortable with those moments of silence?
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking of is definitely the core competencies. When you master the core competencies, you automatically kind of get that courage and you get that confidence of dealing with the I don't knows, because we really need to embody the competencies, like we always say, right? It's not just about understanding them, but we become them and we immerse ourselves in them. And, I just like to end this with this, metaphor of this perceptual mountain and the river. So our job as coaches is we have to take our clients around the mountain to actually see the river. If we are on the other side of the mountain and asking them, how does the river look? They genuinely can't see the river, so they don't know the answer, right? So we can use somatic coaching, we can use the tools and techniques we discussed today, we can use some powerful questioning. We just, partner with the client to take them around the mountain till they're able to see that river. And probably the aha moments and insights are going to really come up then. And their I don't knows become an I know. And they are in that space, because in a space of emotional state or their mental perspective, they might think they don't know the answer because it's not there, but the answer is there. It's our job as coaches to be actually nudging them and then giving them that space to actually go through the mountain till the point they can see the river. Because if we are struggling along with the client when they are struggling, that's the worst thing that can happen. So we just need to trust the process, be comfortable in our own being as coaches, and just be as partners for our clients.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful, around the way the river flows. And of course, you can decide for yourself many parts of the river where you want to sit, take your time around that flow, and then, of course, go through a rapid flow. So you really hone that process. Mine would be, coaches, take time out for yourself to reflect. Because even that moment of reflection, if you're doing it once a month, once a week for 30 minutes, find your sweet spot or your sweet time where you can sit down quietly and reflect, because that's where you really sharpen or deepen your skills, especially from thinking, what are the clients I coached this week? And what are some of the things that sat with me in the week? And how could I do that differently? Your unknowns will become more and more known to you, and advanced coaching would begin to emerge from those moments of reflection. There are many shiny, bright objects in the world, as when you look around, you can see, with books, with people. For me, my biggest awareness comes from coaches. When they say something to me, then I need to think about it. And I go, oh, that's the way we could do it again. There's a different way showing up here, more diversity, more uniqueness showing up in how we can engage with that same competency or same marker in a different way. Please leave your closing thoughts on the chat as we begin to wrap up this webinar. And join us in 2 weeks' time for the Masters in Coaching webinar. Again, that's a learning webinar, and we're going to talk about AI and technology and how to use that in coaching. ICF has developed some standards around AI. We'll also raise that and share with you many resources. It's also wonderful to see that we had over 100 coaches join this call. Next week for this webinar, the learning webinars, Tracy is going to be doing some mindfulness techniques, some demonstration of mindfulness with everyone. So please join that webinar. I think she's going to do a piece of meditation and visualization. Join that webinar, please. Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure being with you today. We'll just continue learning and growing together as coaches.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Go ahead.
everyone. And thank you for all those insights and messages that you've been pouring. I'm sure we all had a great time, and reach out to us if we were not able to answer any of your questions. Yeah.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to us.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of the
Thank you,
day.
Cindy. Thank you, Priya. It's
Thank you,
wonderful.
Smita. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you, Sylvester, for hosting us. We were on time.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.